Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. This is a night that everyone's been waiting for. We are here with the legendary Brenda Bennett to continue going through the trajectory of her music career. We talked about Vanity 6 last month, and we're going to pick up where we left off. But before we turn it over to the exceptional Brenda, I'm going to introduce our panel today. You all know me, Jeremy Gloff from Tampa, singer, songwriter, blah, blah, blah. But we, returning Phonogenics 101 panelist, longtime friend of mine. It was actually our mutual love of Brenda that brought us together in 2007, 2008. Jeff X, introduce yourself and talk about yourself a little bit.
Well, hi, I'm Jeff X. I am a huge collector and a bit of a little, what do you call it? What's that word? Not curator, but there's another word. My God, I can't even think about it. Anyway, so I'm a huge fan and collector of 80s and 90s music and beyond, like even classical music. I am originally from New York and Boston, but I live in Florida now, and I am a huge advocate for people of color, for LGBTQ rights, and also survivors of crime, as I am one of the survivors of the mass shooting of the nightclub Pulse in Orlando. And I actually died that night, and they brought me back, and I had a lot of surgeries. And unfortunately, out of the 49 that passed away, I lost 6 of my friends. So I'm an advocate for those things as well. And also for blood donation, people to donate blood, because I'm a rare blood type. Only 7% of the population is my blood type. So I've been working with the blood banks. I've been kind of their poster child for a little bit, done some events and ads for them. And then, I've been traveling all around with different survivors from different tragedies. And we've become like a little bit of a family. And we're huge fans of Vanity 6, Apollonia 6, and Madonna and Prince, and, all that era that we cherish and we hold very dear to our hearts. And so that's me.
Now, Jeff, what blood type do you have?
O negative.
Oh, negative.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, just to tie it in, I went to visit Jeff in the hospital, and he was, attached to all the stuff. And he was telling me, he was on a lot of medication, but he was telling me the story of someone that came to visit him that he didn't want to see. He turned to me, he's like, I just became Brenda.
That is true. I did turn away 8 people, family or old friends. I didn't want nothing to do with them. These people that I cut off years ago. And then you want to, cry by my side. I know it might be considered mean to some people, but the damage that they did, if you knew, you'd understand where I was coming from. So I denied their requests, and I have no remorse of that still to this day. And some of them ran out of the hospital crying, and I could give 2 shits. They could keep it moving.
Well, Brenda, you are a sign of strength to us. In our most vulnerable moments, our inner Brenda comes out.
They literally removed the tubes, and I'm like, drop dead. It's terrible.
Well, moving on, we have her first time on the podcast, and also a huge Vanity 6, Apollonia 6, and Brenda Bennett fan. You love the solo albums too, just like I do. Danielle Vasquez.
Hi. I am Danielle Vasquez from Canton, Ohio, and I have been an entertainer, a drag performer for 31 years. I am also a costume designer. I make music for drag entertainers all over the world. I've been doing that for about 12 years. I am a huge Vanity 6, Apollonia 6, Brenda Bennett, Susan Moonsey fanatic. Like I was telling Jeremy, it was the girls over Prince for me. I love Prince, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the girls come before Prince in my book. They've always been.
Same here.
Since I was 12 years old. Yeah, 12 years old, I was singing I Want 7 Inches or More, and I had no idea what I was singing about. I don't know what the 7 inches was, but I was singing it. And so I'm very excited to be here. I've got to know Brenda a little bit in the past couple months, and I'm friends with Apollonia, and she also is very she sent her best wishes for the podcast tonight. And I'm just very excited to be here, period. Like, just so excited. And I got to meet Jeff. And Jeff, God bless you. I think I know where I know you from. I think I know.
Okay.
I did a few fundraisers up here as well for that. In our clubs up here. And I was very tuned into everything that was going on. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. But you look great.
Thank you.
You look like you're 25. How old are you?
Nope. I add a little over 20 to that.
Oh,
you don't look. Yeah, well, yeah.
You know what?
I guess we're all kind of there. But
I'm gonna be 50. I'm gonna be 50 in January. Listening to Apollonia 6 keeps you young.
You have like a 19-year-old vibe to you.
That's the secret to youth, is listening to Apollonia 6.
Isn't it though?
Well,
it really is.
I have my Blue Limousine 12-inch single.
Wow.
My Sex Shooter 12-inch.
Wow.
My, of course, Apollonia 6 album. I have, of course, the Blue Limousine 7-inch with the shorter version of the song.
Ooh. I have that too. Right here.
Okay. Yes.
Right here.
My final collectible to show is, since I couldn't get the Japanese CD, I burned one off Napster in 2001. And look at who I have on the CD sticker.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen that.
I have the Japanese CD as well. I'm so glad that I got it. I got it at a record convention in the 80s. You remember those conventions that would travel to hotel? And I found it, and I paid $50 for it back then. And I still have it, and I'm so glad. I got the Vanity 6 CD as well, the original.
I'll give you $51 for
Wait, Jeremy, let me see the sticker.
Yeah, I just printed it out on my own laser jet printer back in the day. I burned my own little CD. Look at.
Okay.
Okay.
Funny enough, that's off the
Vanity 6.
Yeah.
Vanity 6 cover, right?
Brenda, you're a dirty girl.
Yeah. Don't you forget it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Can
Brenda,
we just say how cute? Can we say how good Brenda looks still?
I know.
Amazing.
Seriously. This woman is just.
I remember when Brenda came back out in 2008. Because Jeff, you're the one that sent me that Shaky Ground Ken Lyons video. Everyone was talking about it, Brenda. They're like, Brenda's back. She's singing with this band. And there's one point in the video where you do a whoop. I'm like, I fell off my bed because you did a Brenda. And every year you're like a fine wine. You get more and more beautiful. Not that that's possible, but we're just love you so much.
And the iconic speaking voice. Let's not forget the speaking voice.
Yep.
When I talked to her on the phone, I about fell off my bed because that voice just hits you. And it's it literally is the perfect voice for voiceovers. Singing. You just have an amazing voice. Singing and talking.
Brenda, we'll stop embarrassing you and get to this podcast.
But we got lots of questions.
I'm excited to approach this album through the lens of Brenda Bennett because, you came into the Prince family as an established musician, and you continued your career as a musician after this. So this was kind of one stop on your journey, and you were there, through the transition from Vanity 6 to Apollonia 6. So I think the first thing I'd like to ask before we go into the track by track is, how far did a second Vanity 6 album go? Was there any work on it, or?
Oh yeah, it was completed.
It was completed?
It was completed.
Wow.
And that
it was as completed as we thought it was going to be at the time. It certainly had enough songs. We certainly had completed enough songs to compile it into an album's worth of listening. But then Vanity went off on her way, and decided to do what she was going to do with her own career solo.
Wow.
So we didn't know what was going to happen with the music end of stuff. We'd put so much work into all these other new songs, and I was really excited because it was definitely a step up, or I don't know if you want to say step up, but it was a good progression from the first album. It was a little bit meatier in the music sense. I mean, the first album was kind of a test in a lot of ways. And then the second Vanity Six album it had some more solid material that was it was a progressive step in the maturity of the music end of Vanity Six. It was a little, and because we had been able to break at some of the barriers that we did with the sexuality and such. There were a few songs that were a little more risque.
Oh, well, Vibrator.
Yeah.
Vibrator.
Makes you feel so good. We all know that one.
So that thing.
We had to, when everything was put on hold, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, it was in the can, it was on the shelf. And so he wasn't going to shut down the whole project with doing the movie. The movie had to go on.
Right.
So, the casting call went out for a leading female. And, there were hundreds of girls. They had to do a video. They had to do their audition in front of a video camera. And there was hundreds of girls that auditioned for this, as you can imagine, and probably guys too. But I don't know. And then the management and another group of people that were working with the management, they were going through them all. They were whittling them down to the ones that they thought were that had something to say, to show Prince, for him to take a look at and decide whether he wanted to go forward or wanted to talk to the person personally, or whichever the case may be. And it wound up getting whittled down in the end to 3 people. And at that time, he called us over to the house on Kiowa, where he was living then, Susan and I. And it was pretty much a night of hanging out together. But he said, okay, we're going to look at these. I've got the last 3 to make a decision, for us to make a decision with. To look at and make a decision from. So Patty Cataro, Patricia Cataro was one of them. And I think she was the second one. She was the second one that we watched. And I kind of perked up immediately because there was similarities in her beauty, that she didn't look like Vanity, but there were some similarities with the dark hair, some of the features that were a little bit kind of put it in that same class, or I don't want to say class, because they were definitely different in that respect. Apollonia brought a whole different sort of touch of Hollywood glamour to the situation, where Vanity was, she was so gorgeous, but there was a street survivor aura and charisma about that girl that just there was no comparison in that sense. But also the audition, actually, the lines, it wasn't a really large part that had to be read. And from how Patty Cataro read her lines, read her part, we figured, yeah, I think she could do this. We didn't really know anything about her background, other than that she had been doing things more in the Latino market. As far as film, she was more of an actress. she really hadn't done much in the way of music that we knew of at that time. That's mostly what we knew about her, was that she had done acting and had done some of her things within the Latino market. And I guess she'd done a few video things. She had been in the LA Rams. She had been one of the cheerleaders. She wasn't an LA Ram, but she was a cheerleader for the LA Rams. Let's get that straight, right?
Right.
So and we figured, oh yeah, what do you know? And we looked at Prince and said, well, what do you think? And he looked at us and said, you're the ones who's going to have to be working with her. You got to make the decision.
Oh, wow.
So Susan and I said, we'll go with her. And that's how she came into the picture. Well, with the film at the time, she was hired as leading female for the Purple Rain film. And so we went in, we started, she came in at a time when we had started doing a lot of the prep work for the individual people that were going to be in the film from the Prince family. And so I didn't really see too much of her at that time. She was really getting worked into her part as the leading female. And the whole thing about doing music, we certainly were going to have to release Sex Shooter because it was in the movie. We performed it in the movie.
Mhm.
So that we're going to have to.
We know you did.
So we were going to have to do something with that song to release in some way. So Prince had her in the studio and was working with her to see what she could do and to see how she was going to do. And she, she managed to do a pretty good job. So it kind of, there was not a definite situation in the sense that, okay, she was hired to do the whole package, that she was hired to do the album and the group and the whatever, but there was a whole semblance of continuity. And then there became talk of within the organization of her possibly doing some more music, doing an album so that it could be released, because Time was releasing a new album. The soundtrack album was going to happen. And because Apollonia 6 was the group that was going to be in the movie and not Vanity 6, why not go on with doing some kind of a musical album, even if it was like an EP or something. So I really didn't have anything to do with the decisions of that. I just kind of was sitting back waiting to see what was going to happen. And it was decided that, okay, let's keep this momentum going with the rest of everything that's happening here. It's stuff that's going to be part of the promotional package, the 3 bands, the 3 albums, the movie, it was quite a package at the time. So he started working with her, Prince started working with her and started working with getting, he had, and as you know, he always was writing, always recording. So he pulled a few things out of the hat and did some stuff with her. And the other stuff was totally new. All of it was new. None of it had been on the Vanity 6 album, on the second Vanity 6 album. It was all new. And that's how it started, with the album part of it. And okay, now it's your question time.
Well, was Sex Shooter originally on the second Vanity 6? Was that a crossover from the original project? Or?
Actually, yeah, you might be right on that. But that was something that was played around with because of the movie. That was the song that we were going to be doing in the movie. So that did come beforehand. That did.
Yeah, I have a demo. Didn't you have a demo of that, Jeremy? I have a demo of that.
Yeah, with the Vanity singing?
With Vanity singing it, yeah.
It's funky.
It's funky. It has like more guitar, you know. But
Yeah.
I did have a question. Uh, when it came to the top girls, do you recall if Nia Peoples was one of them? Because I know she did audition, and I know she said in an interview, she was like when she walked out, she saw Patricia coming in, Apollonia, and she was like, "It's you. You're the one. You're gonna." And Apollonia has said this several times in interviews. She was like, I got a little freaked out because she was like, "It's you. You're gonna be the girl. You're gonna get this part." She was like, "What?" And she was
Yeah.
like, "They're gonna pick you." So I don't know if was that prior to the final batch of girls, or was that in the final batch of girls when you guys were deciding?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I didn't see, and the only people that I saw were the three, the very last, right down to the last three.
Okay.
And if she
Okay.
was one of those three, I really couldn't tell you because nobody stood out enough to Susan and I, except for Apollonia.
Okay.
Um, so I don't even remember
Cool.
what the other girls looked like, to be honest with you. It was just kind of like, all
All
right,
right.
they're gone. It's like
Mm-hmm.
of all the other
Yeah.
hundreds of girls, it's like, okay, clean the slate here. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could be. I don't know.
So my only other
Okay.
question is the second Vanity Six album that's never been heard. Were the lead vocals swapped just like on the first album where you did some songs and there was the Susan songs and the Vanity songs? Did it kind of follow the same format?
Yeah, pretty much so. I forgot what Susan was doing on that album. In fact, actually, yeah, I don't know who she
Did
was.
she do Jealous Girl?
Sorry.
Was Jealous Girl on that Vanity Six album? I've read that before. That Susan did a song called Jealous Girl.
You could be right about that. So you're knowing a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I think I've read that. I don't know if it's true, but I've read that.
Right.
The song Jealous
Now,
Girl.
I want one thing too was that I mean it's obviously very very well known that um Manic Monday and Glamorous Life were
That's
originally
my
going to be
question.
for you guys.
That was my
And
question.
oh my bad, I'm sorry.
No,
Like
go ahead.
so
You
now
good?
so now I wanted to know I mean it's very well known that allegedly you got very upset over that those songs were given to other people instead of to the group. But what I want to know is were those to be on the Apollonia 6 album or the Vanity 6 first or second album? Where were those songs supposed to be at? Where were they supposed to fall prior
Uh,
to the change?
well, Manic Monday was actually going to be a song on the Apollonia 6 album. I
Okay.
have a version of it that we recorded with all of our vocals on it. And of course, there's the news that you probably know about and have heard. Excuse me, um, of Prince leaving my vocal on there on the tracks when he was in the studio with the Bangles. How
Mhm.
that came about for him giving it to the Bangles, I really don't know. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, we don't have it anymore. The Bangles are going to be doing it. And it's really not. I really, when Prince made his decision about the music stuff. Um, and I had to step away from that. I respected his decision. And I didn't really, the only thing I ever got upset about was that one of the songs that he wanted to work with me on that we were going to do for me as a solo song, not solo away from the band, but solo on the record, was Moral Majority, a song called Moral Majority. And I love that song.
I want to hear that so bad.
Oh my
Me
I've
God.
heard
too.
about that
Me
song
Uh,
for decades. Like
and
I want to hear that song.
and it was just right up my alley in terms of the feel, the groove, the
Mm.
lyric. I talked about it in the Vanity Six thing where Prince and I used to have fights all the time because he always wanted me to be more sleazy than I was willing to be. It's like, if I get that sleazy now, I won't have any place to graduate to.
Right. You'd be naked.
So, but so he was, when it came to material for me that we were working on, he was always, all right, we'll temper it down a little bit in the lyrics, but Moral Majority was just such a great tune. I really loved it. But he snatched it away, and it was going to go on Jill Jones's first solo project.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. He says, no, I'm going to do that with Jill. And I was just like, ah! And that's the only time I ever really got upset. I didn't care for Manic Monday. I still don't care for the song. I mean, it was a big hit, but
Glamorous Life?
and it's a good song. It's just that it's too, for my personal taste, it's really on the poppy side. And that's not me being.
It's not you. Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Can we get a how you do it in the Manic Monday? That's my favorite part of that demo. I have a copy of the demo.
Whoa.
You know how when it goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. I love it.
And I love that Brenda's vocals made it. That's the version you hear on the radio, or your vocals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, Prince was really, it was a little bit time had gone by, and he called me up and said, okay, you got to come over. I got something for you. And I'm thinking, oh, what's this gonna be? And it's kind of like, So I get over to his place, and he had 17 days for me.
Ah,
wow,
my favorite.
Yeah,
wow.
That's my favorite Prince song.
Oh my God! So he and I recorded it, and when we got done, I was ear to ear smiles, and I just looked at him and I said, "Okay, you're forgiven." Because he had snatched Moral Majority away. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody calling me? Oh, excuse me.
I think my
All right, I turned the phone off. Recording in progress. Where were we? Oh, yeah. So I told what? Go ahead.
Oh, finish the 17 days story, then I'll move on to
17 days.
Oh, 17 days.
So 17 days. And then so he was going to be, okay, this is going to be your song, and we're going to do it on the Vanity 6 second album. And I was like, oh yeah. So, and then the Vanity 6 album didn't happen.
Oh
yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what's going to happen with 17 days is running through my head, and so when it was decided that this Apollonia 6 album was going to be done, when I started hearing some of the material for it, I was thinking, I'm not going to be doing 17 days on this, because that's going to stick out like a sore thumb on this album. So I talked to him about it, and he said, that's going to be for your solo project with me. And I went, okay, a solo project? Really? And so he didn't talk too much about it at that particular moment, but he said, yeah. So I said, okay, so you're pulling it from this. And he says, yeah, we're going to hang on to it. That's going to go on your solo album. And I said, okay. Then he wound up releasing it. On the B side, When Doves Cry extended version. And but he had he left my vocal on it. It's kind of under his vocal, kind of like riding along in there.
Oh, we know.
17 days.
and then you recorded it for your on your Once Again album.
Yep.
Yes, I did.
Recently. Yeah. It's amazing. And did you sing that with your son?
I did. In fact, he's singing it on the album version with me.
Yeah.
And I did when I was inducted into Music Hall of Fame thing here. He was in college at the time. He was in university in Orlando,
Hmm.
and he came up. He came to be a part of the celebration.
Hmm.
Funny is I was so proud of him. He came up the night before. He had, which I didn't realize, 4 hours sleep.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him the next day, I said, okay, we've got to rehearse something. And he's like, rehearse something? What? And I said, yes, I'm going to be doing a song. They want me to do some stuff live. And one of the songs I'm going to do, I want you to do the song with me.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, okay. This is a person, a child who'd never been on stage before.
Oh, he'd never been on stage?
I'd never had him on stage before.
Wow.
Wow. I've seen it's on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you guys did great for him never being
Yeah.
on stage. Is he into music?
What do you
Like,
mean?
does he want to, or was that just kind of a thing he did with you?
No, he always said to me, Mom, the music, that's your thing.
Hmm. Well,
He
did good.
enjoys music. He has a lot of different things he listens to.
Hmm.
He's very good at composing like little ditties on the guitar.
Hmm.
Once in a while, I catch him picking up Gertrude, which is my favorite guitar, my first guitar I ever owned of mine. And I remember walking into my bedroom and he's sitting on the bed playing Gertrude, and I stopped and I looked at him. I said, "Who said you could play Gertrude?" He looked at me and he said, "Gertrude did." And I couldn't
Gertrude was name.
I couldn't get I name all my guitars.
I love it.
And I couldn't get angry with him at that. I just laughed and said, okay, that's typical of you. Just be very careful, because I hardly ever let anybody ever touch that guitar.
How's your first one ever?
That's the first one I ever bought of my own.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I bought it in 1974.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I paid $250 for it. I said it was
I was 2 years old.
And it was in the newspaper, it was in the musical, it was in the classified ads. People don't know. It was in the classified ads under the musical instruments. And all it said was a Sunburst Gibson acoustic guitar and a phone number. And that's what I wanted, was a Sunburst Gibson acoustic guitar.
Oh, wow.
So I called the number. I was playing that night with Tombstone, and he showed up with this cardboard case, the cardboard guitar case. And I walked over and opened it up, and Ken Lyon came over, who was the head guy of the band at the time. He came over and he looked at the guitar and he grabbed it out of the case, starts playing it, looks at the guy and says, "Oh, is this for sale? How much do you want for it?" And I said, "It's sold, forget it."
Oh, that's funny.
And so it's a rare, well, I don't know how rare now, but it's a 1920s Gibson L series.
Oh, wow.
It's like a Robert Johnson guitar.
Oh, good.
That's
You still have it.
Wow. Well, when I make my way up to Rhode Island, I will not touch Gertrude.
Okay.
Gertrude, and on my second solo album, once again, that's what I'm playing on when you open up the album. That's the guitar I've got on.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have one final question before we go into the track-by-track discussion of Apollonia 6. On Sheila E.'s album, you are credited as a co-writer of Next Time Wipe the Lipstick Off Your Collar. Did you write that song?
I co-wrote it.
You did? Okay.
I always wanted to know that too.
I know. I've been dying to ask.
Good question.
Yeah.
I remember being so excited reading those liner notes.
Me too.
BB. Did it say BB?
Yep.
Or did it say Brenda Bennett?
This is Brenda Bennett.
Yeah, it says JJ for Jill Jones, but
JJ for Jill Jones. But I remember that and thinking, oh my God, Brenda co-wrote this song. That's one of my favorite songs on the
That's
album.
awesome.
Now, see, you said liner notes, reading the liner notes. There's so many artists today who don't realize how people love liner notes.
Yeah.
The information it's in there. I love it. I require it. You know, I want to see.
Me too.
When I buy music, which I don't buy music very often, but when I buy
Yeah.
music, I want to see who's doing what on what
Mhm.
and when, and
Yeah,
yeah, all
for
that
sure.
stuff. Who wrote, who did this, who did that, yeah, who's
That's
plugged.
how
Back
I
vocals,
discovered
all of it.
Yeah, that's how I discovered a lot of the different musicians
Yeah.
and people in the Prince camp, through liner notes,
Hmm.
And here they are. The liner. Wait, let me find them.
Ah,
The liner notes are the album we're about to discuss. How much time did everyone spend with this piece of paper? Because I
I have
just
it. It's
yep.
right here.
I studied every name, and when I bought
Everything.
this album, I just knew Purple Rain. I didn't know who Vanity was till a couple years later. But
Same
then
with me.
I didn't know who Brenda or Susan. So I'm like, who's this Brenda? Who's this Susan? And then when you play the album, Apollonia is there for the first couple songs, but then she kind of doesn't show up again for the whole album. I mean, she's
And then
talking.
you hear this voice, like
Yep.
the heavens open and this raspy, soulful.
Yep. And that
Yeah.
voice is here tonight with us to tell us the stories
I
behind
mean, you should hear me in the shower sometime trying to be Brenda Bennett, but you heard it
I
earlier.
love those pictures.
All right.
Can we
So-
ask about the picture real quick?
Yeah.
Or not? I just want to know, like, this picture right here, Brenda.
Mhm.
You look literally breathtaking in this picture. Like your hair, like from the Vanity 6 to the Apollonia 6, you softened up a lot with the hair.
Yeah.
Like it was more bleach blonde. It wasn't the curls weren't as tight. And you just look so amazing on this picture. Now, where did you guys take these pictures at?
That session was done on the y'all remember the very first Planet of the Apes movie with Charlton Heston in it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, the very first movie, at the
Uh-huh.
end of the movie, when he's on the beach and he comes across, he all of a sudden is, just struck like, oh my God,
Yeah.
because the part of the Statue of Liberty is sticking out of the sand.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's that beach.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Mm,
Amazing.
It's in California.
Okay, yeah. I figured
okay.
that. And then your
And-
hand was on Apollonia's butt, which as a
I
little
love
kid,
it.
I always looked at that. And you always had the tough girl, the punk image, all that. I was like, I think she's a lesbian. But I didn't know because your hand was on her butt. But I was 12 years old. And I just was like, oh, that's kind of hot. Like,
oh,
what's going on here? And then Susan's over here, just looking off in the distance, like she's in another world. But Susan looks so cute too. This is one of my
They all use
favorite.
all the
Yeah, this is one of my favorite pictures ever. And you guys were in different outfits. You were not in lingerie. Anytime you guys wore something different, like at the awards or whatever, I would get so excited because you were not in the typical. Did you get that way too, Jeff?
tutties.
Like, yeah, like
so-
it was just like, oh my God, they have different outfits on. I love it.
My wardrobe was pretty extensive, and
Yeah.
there was different wardrobes. There was the stage wardrobe wasn't very extensive because there
Right. Well, that's what we usually thought.
but,
It was
there was clothes that you wore in videos. There were clothes that you wore in interviews. There was clothes that you wore to, award shows.
Mm-hmm.
That and honey, you're not supposed to be seen in the same thing twice.
right.
No, but
true.
but a lot of the times you guys were, especially with like Vanity 6.
Hmm.
The
And
lingerie, yeah.
I think the reason for that probably is it when you see it, you knew who you were because and Apollonia actually told me that before, was that you guys wore a lot of the same things because it was just kind of like back then your brand.
The uniform.
Yeah, a uniform. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like the uniform. Black lingerie, white lingerie. Brenda always wore hot pink and black or blue and black.
I wore
you know,
blue.
I-
Yeah, I was blue. Susan was pink. Apollonia, Vanity were black. Was in black.
right.
And we mixed it up a little bit. There was
And you lost the dagger.
and I what?
I said, and you got rid of the dagger for
Oh, I
Apollonia.
got rid of the dagger. Oh yeah, that
You
was
know I love my dagger, honey.
that was fun. That was
I
just-
never understood it, but me and my cousin would be like, "Look at Brenda's dagger." Like it was just like we were
It
just
was-
so excited over that damn dagger. I don't know. This is funny.
That was
It was
just
very superhero.
Yeah.
well. That's you kind of one of you just said it kind of a few minutes ago. It was a brand. We were recognized easier by having the same type of
Yeah.
stuff. Plus, also it was and I just mentioned something about this too, is when you're starting out, if you start piling all this, really good stuff on and you're doing this and then you're doing that,
Mhm.
look, you need to have a graduation of
Mhm.
it,
Right.
so that you can. Prince was a perfect example of it. I would see things, I would look through a lot of designed stuff for him. I would do designs because I used to do a lot of design stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would show him things and what do you think of this, and I used to do like video stuff as well, with sets. And he'd say, no, not that's not for now, that's for later. That's for, once we get to another level.
Mhm.
Because
Makes sense.
if you try to crash everything in right away, you don't.
There's nowhere to go. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Does make sense.
All right. Well, moving on to the track by track because we don't want to keep Brenda up too late.
I know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
I need my pretty rest, It's-
I'm
Well,
the one
it's
falling
definitely-
asleep, honey.
It's definitely
I
a-
know.
Definitely a
I
soft-
was
Oh, go ahead.
so excited. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So there's definitely a softening of the image between Vanity 6 and Apollonia 6. That Vanity, like you said, Brenda, brought kind of a rawness.
Tough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say dark because that's the wrong word. But
In your face. In
Yeah.
your face sexuality, dirty.
So I feel like, even when you look at the cover art of the Apollonia 6 album, there's a little bit different of a vibe. Maybe it's sweeter, but it's kind of reflected by the album too. The album is totally a different vibe than the first one. So yeah, let's go into the track by track. Happy birthday, Mr. Christian. What's the story of that one? That's not a pencil. Shame.
And
that
what was the pencil?
That was one of the ones that Apollonia and Prince, kind of combined efforts on.
Okay.
And
I
it was
love
it's always going to be some kind of a project in Prince's mind, of something. I mean, the thing is 7 minutes long to begin with, that song. So, what the history is behind that, I really couldn't tell you if there was a specific, person that Apollonia had in school that, there is in a lot of places, there's always that one teacher who is like, oh,
Right.
Mhm.
what is he doing with her,
Mhm.
or what is this teacher doing with him? I mean, there's always there's one in every crowd,
Mhm.
So I really can't tell you too much background on that, other than what we wound up doing with that.
Right. With the movie, right?
It was it was a sort of little mini movie, long video kind of project.
Heaven, heaven, heaven.
It was
It's on
Mm.
YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps showing up there, and
It gets taken
Prince's-
down and then
Prince's management kept taking it down, or I guess maybe now the estate's trying to take it down. I don't know, but they really can't do anything about it now.
Yeah.
It's just been out there for too long, and it keeps
It was incredible because I remember reading about it in magazines for years, and then one day it just pops up on YouTube, and it was just like, I can't believe this. Like, you hear these stories because we didn't have social media or anything back
Yeah.
then, so you would read these
Mhm.
little gossip columns and stuff, and I remember hearing about that and being so sad as a teenager that I could not see this little mini movie. And then
It's
what,
yeah,
30
well,
years
it's,
later,
even now
what?
you watch it now, and you can. It's obvious that it's unfinished.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's obvious that it's unfinished. And that's because I mean it was a project because we weren't going to be doing a tour, that we weren't performing on stage on the tour. We needed to do something we needed to utilize other areas to promote the album.
right. It makes sense.
So this project came about to do this mini, take 3 or 4 of the songs, or a song of Susan's, a song of mine, a song of hers, and then kind of collectively and center around some kind of a theme, a storyline.
It's
And
very campy,
it is campy. It's kind
but
of itchy.
y'all look beautiful.
Oh,
All three.
I loved the costumes, the ones in the beginning there with the.
Oh my God!
I
Yeah.
have that. I still have that.
Oh,
Do
wow.
you really?
Really?
That is
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, I still have that. I have that.
That's the only time we've ever seen Susan in black.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
Okay.
Yeah, that's incredible. You still have that. I love
I
that.
have that. I have the cape from Purple Rain. I have a blue dress that sleeveless.
Yeah.
The Vanity Six dress.
Yeah, I have a lot
The
of.
strapless one.
We all know that dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, real quick. So those dresses, okay. You were on Soul Train and all that. Did they make you wear the dresses because you weren't allowed to wear the lingerie on TV?
Yes.
That's what I wondered. Okay.
Mm.
But it was so cool to see you in those dresses because we saw the pictures all the time. But for you guys to perform in those dresses is kind of iconic for the
It was
fans.
hard performing in that dress because it kept sliding, it kept going.
Really?
I felt for sure any moment I was just gonna plop out of that.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's
It
interesting.
was so cool to see you guys dressed like that because, like you said, Danielle, I mean, to me, it's almost like the backwards version of when you see a teacher out of school.
Right. That makes sense.
The backwards, it's like because we're so used to seeing them in the lingerie and the sexy outfits. When we would see them in these dresses or jeans and with a jacket, it was like, what?
Yeah. So
But it looked great. But they looked great, and I loved the outfits. And I guess, thankfully, during that performance, I didn't pop off at Soul Train.
Right.
Well, it's interesting with Mr. Christian because you think of the subject matter that Prince talked about in some of those songs, which never would fly today. Like you can release a song about a teacher with an underage student, or like being with your sister. Like the things that Prince tackled in the 80s, in 2024, you're like, wow. So,
oh yeah.
Whose favorite part of the song is, "Oh, Mr. Christian, you're a bad boy." Always the Brenda part.
Always the Brenda part that sticks out. Always.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that about that project that was there were 2 things that I was excited about doing that project. I liked doing the project because it was I thought it was very innovative. I thought it was kind of cutting edge in a sense that nobody else was going to have something like that, out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was excited about that part of it. And I felt that once everything, because there was supposed to be, background soundtrack music in between stuff as well, but that part never got done. And so anyway, 2 of the things was that was filmed whenever you saw whether it was a television show or a movie, especially by Warner Brothers, you always saw that old iconic black and white photo of Warner Brothers Studios.
Yeah.
The different studio buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You're in one of those.
Oh.
That was filmed in one of those.
Oh, wow.
So it was really exciting because I love movies and I have 3 of them that I'm going to be working on writing.
Yes.
And I would love to, have them made someday. But
That's
I
awesome.
was so excited that we are going to be actually in a movie studio, sound
Mhm.
to do this stage. And the other thing was we didn't know up until, almost the last minute of who Mr. Christian was going to be.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Because it was sort of up in the air. They didn't know. I don't know. Are we going to pick him out of a casting book? I mean, what are we going to do here? And they just said, oh, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. This is the management, right?
Hmm.
Edie Williams came in. She played the lawyer. I have no idea who Edie Williams was, or she.
I
I think.
still don't, but yeah.
So somebody was excited about that, and but then so the day of the first filming, we get on the set, and I said, okay, do we have a Mr. Christian?
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Fargnoli was there from the management, and he said, yes, we do. He's here. He's in his dressing room right now. And I said, who is it? He said, Ricky Nelson. What?
Oh, yeah.
What? I
wow.
couldn't believe it.
You probably went crazy, didn't you?
I did.
I know you did. I could tell that you probably loved him.
Well, I remember growing up as a little girl,
Mm-hmm.
and the Ozzie and Harriet show
Mm-hmm.
that his parents had. Um, and I loved watching it because sometimes he would do a song, he would perform a song at the end of the show.
Uh-huh.
And I loved his voice. And occasionally he, would be, not every time did he do a song at the end of the show, but some of the times he did. So that was great. And for us to be working, and this was going to be Mr. Christian,
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, where's the dressing room? Where's the dressing room? Where is he? And so I went to, and I knocked on the door, and he said, come on in. And I walked in, and a big smile on my face, and I put my hand out, and I said, I'm Brenda Bennett, and going to be working with you today. And he said, oh, hi, how do you do? And I said, believe it or not, I've been a big fan of yours since I was a little girl. And he had gorgeous blue eyes, and he just put on that big Ricky Nelson smile, and he said, thank you very much. And he said, this is going to be fun. And I said, good, okay. And that was about it, really. I was just thrilled to death that he was gonna be a part of this project. And so it was kind of like, if Paul McCartney or John Lennon especially had walked into, a part of this somehow along the way, this whatever we were doing, and became part of it, I would have thought I'd died and gone to heaven, Sell my clothes, Mom, I'm going to heaven.
That's cute. And then he passed away not too long after, correct?
Well, that's one of the reasons why it didn't get released.
Okay. That's what I had heard.
Okay, I remember hearing something about his passing, and that may have hindered part of the production, the release. I'm sorry.
Well, if you think back, if you've seen it, which obviously from the way you're talking, you've seen it. The whole premise of the video is that Mr. Christian has died.
Oh,
He's left his will,
right,
and all of that stuff that we're dealing with. We have to go to work and blah blah blah. And then at the end of the video, it shows up. Oh, I wasn't dead after all. And then he dies.
Yeah, that
a couple
would
of weeks later, we weren't even it wasn't even finished being made. It wasn't, there was still lots of cleanup and the soundtrack stuff and all that other business.
How did that affect you?
I was really upset.
Yeah, I bet.
I was really upset. I was thankful that I was blessed to have been able to work with him. But at the same time, I felt just so, like, how could this happen?
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So and there was a lot of stuff going on with Prince at the time too, and he just said, "That's it, forget the project."
So crazy, all that work.
Well, that's how it happens,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So
And there was no time for reshoots or to have someone else redo his part. Nothing like that was ever discussed or even considered.
I said nope.
No.
And
Wow.
so we didn't, you know.
I think, isn't that kind of Prince was kind of just over the whole thing at that time and was moving on to new stuff?
Well, that's
I've
the
always.
thing. Purple Rain had been so successful.
Mhm.
He wanted to do more movies. He wanted to get into more stuff.
Okay.
Family was starting to come into the picture musically, you know, and stuff with Sheila E's stuff musically, and the time going out of the picture, and I mean, and, you know, it was really a season of change for the
Yeah.
whole organization, and so that's that didn't happen. So consequently, what did happen to help promote the album was this incredible photo session that we did with live doves, and we were naked from the waist up.
Yeah.
Oh, I like those. Yeah.
One of the. That's such a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Apollonia had
Very.
told me that there was a lot of poopy doves. Did the doves poop everywhere?
Fortunately, I did not get pooped on.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
You look beautiful in that picture.
That's too funny.
That was
And you're in the middle too, and you just look stunning.
well, that was
They're like,
that was kind of I was always, the photographers were always wanting to put me in the middle. And I kept saying, no, that's the lead singer. She's going to be in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to be over here. But they would always
Good.
invariably, okay, well, we're going to do some shots with you here anyway. Okay. So
Maybe because you're the blonde too, and two brunettes on each side.
yeah, yeah.
mhm.
I suppose so. But,
Nevertheless, it's a gorgeous picture.
thank you.
I remember reading real quick because I know we got to do. I remember reading in Rock and Soul magazine. Do you remember Rock and Soul magazine, Jeremy and
Yeah.
Jeff?
Mhm.
That you guys had broken up, and I was in the. It was a Woolworths, I think, in the mall,
Oh,
and I remember I was crying.
Oh,
In the World Wars. Now, I was a little boy, you know, at that time. I wasn't, you know, I was just my little, 13, 12-year-old self. And I remember reading that and being devastated.
Aww.
Devastated. No, literally devastated. I know it's weird now, all these years later, but, you know, you had people that loved you guys. You were like Madonna to me. Like, and I just remember that. I'm like, how am I ever going to know what they're doing? Like, and then the internet came out.
yeah.
And I remember the first thing I searched on the first computer I ever got was Vanity 6, Apollonia 6, and all these different websites. This was the beginning of the internet. And all these little fan pages would pop up, and I would kind of figure out where you guys were at. And it was just devastating when you guys broke up. And then I do remember, oh, I'm frozen. Is she frozen?
Nope.
You there?
Nope, we're still there.
No,
I
everybody's
remember
moving.
seeing that you moved to London, to England, and you were working on projects with what's his name?
D. Harris.
D. Harris, yeah. And then I never heard anything else again for decades.
Yeah, it was a long time.
And I never stopped listening.
Oh.
No, I mean, right, Jeremy?
No, that's true.
We never stopped listening.
All right. Well, Brenda, are you still with us for a little bit to power through a couple more songs?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sex Shooter, we had the original Vanity version. I felt that the two versions of Sex Shooter, when you put them side by side, really shows the difference in the dynamic between the two bands. Even the musical arrangement of the Vanity 6 version is a lot darker and grittier. And I felt the Apollonia one was a little bit more pop. And of course, my favorite parts on the 12-inch version were Brenda, Sex Shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best.
Were they two whole different versions?
Sorry?
Were they two whole different versions that were recut?
Yeah.
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 That
was our theme song, I guess, you know. I mean, that was the big single until Blue Limousine came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you like
Mm-hmm.
Sex Shooter when
My
you heard
fan.
it? What was your thoughts on the song?
I liked it. I thought it fit really well. I thought it was going to do well. And I liked it as the song that the group was going to perform
Right,
in the movie because it seemed to fit the scene where
right.
we where we were performing, you know, the whole shtick kind of thing.
Didn't didn't the release of the single get delayed a little bit? Because I remember feeling like even as a kid, like if it got released a little bit sooner, it could have ridden the wave more. Am I remembering that wrong?
It was delayed a little bit. The whole
Right,
album was delayed a little bit getting done,
Oh.
getting released rather. And I don't know what the holdback was on that.
right,
Uh, you know, that was some things that I didn't have any knowledge of as in terms of the details, and I didn't have any control over.
right.
Mm.
All right. Well, after I remember the first time I heard, because side one's the electric side, side two's the acoustic side, and side one is such a tour de force. I just felt like you get the 1, 2, 3 punch of Christian Sex Shooter, and then comes along this song. The first time I heard it, I fell in love with the song. It has been re-recorded by Brenda more recently. Blue Limousine. Tell us about Blue Limousine. What a song that is. What an epic song.
Um, well, that it was because it was I don't there was a blue limousine that we had used that had been part of all of the celebration stuff that we'd been doing, and I remember pointing out thinking, oh, blue limousine. Um, when I that was recorded in Sunset Studio in Hollywood. Um, and when we did that, Prince had gotten the all the music stuff done because I think I was with Roy somewhere. I think I was with Roy somewhere. And I had to come into California, I had to come into Hollywood and do some work in Sunset on the album. And this blue limousine was ready, and he was ready for me to do vocals on it. He had me singing. I don't normally, as you can tell, sing in that register.
Right.
That was like I was pushing it as far as I could push it in terms of a higher register. And the background vocals, Susanna Melvoin was in the studio doing those with me.
Oh.
That was very exciting. I didn't even know that she sang, and I should have known better because, you know, Wendy sings and plays, and that's her twin sister, so it stands to reason that she probably has some kind of musical ability herself. And it was just, it was really like refreshing because it was this whole different feel, this whole different entity, and our voices, I loved them together.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about the song. As hard as it was, in terms of the work that I put into it, um, I remember saying to myself, I hope I can change the key on this if I do it live because it's just I didn't know if it's and my voice is even lower now, but it was fun. I really enjoyed it, and I liked the song. It stayed with me so that I don't know if it was George, um, my co-producer and engineer on Once Again, but we got into a conversation about it, and it came about. We decided let's do an acoustic version of Blue Limousine. And I think it was a conversation with you, wasn't it, Jeremy, that we
Hmm.
were talking about, acoustic versions of some things, and you loved Blue Limousine so much. And so that I think that had something to do with making that decision as well. And I like it. I like how it came out. Um, there's it's there's a
Got a country feel to it too.
well,
Yeah,
it's funny enough. Roy's older sister, Kenny, and his nephew's daughter, Stella Densley, who is an incredible musician, and she's got a wonderful voice. She and Kenny sang background vocals on that version with me.
Oh wow,
And
that's
when we finished the arrangement of it, it's like a Beatles song to me.
Yeah, with the mandolin in
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
Yeah, I
I
had George do a mandolin for that little solo kind of spot. And he said, "Do you want me to do double, triple, or a double, or just, how do you pick it? How do you?" And I said, "Yep, get that wrist going."
Mm.
He was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can do this," but he did a fabulous job because he's such an incredible musician anyway to begin with. But I really like how it came out, that version.
Yeah,
I
I do too.
didn't it's kind of like a standalone single thing out there. I didn't add it onto anything
Yeah.
album wise. So
Oh, we love it. It's great. Can I ask one question about the album version?
sure.
Did Apollonia and Susan sing on that at all?
No,
Not at all.
no,
Wow.
this was
Oh,
Susanna.
okay.
It was only Susanna.
Only on the live ones, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
Did
Oh.
Susan sing on anything?
She sang on a few things.
So, like backgrounds and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know she just sang on Ushi Chihuahua or not.
Well, she's got makeup and Ushi Chihuahua.
Oh, yeah. But I meant like, did she sing on like Happy Birthday, Mr. Christian?
Oh, right. Yeah, well, she did some stuff with Prince
She's
on
in
that.
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff, did you have any questions?
Yeah, but I was waiting to the end. I was like, but um, no, I was just gonna say that that's my favorite song on the album.
Oh,
Sex Shooter's great and it's a classic and it's the one that's in the movie, but my favorite song overall between Vanity and Apollonia 6 combined is Blue Limousine. That's my song. It's just, yeah, everything about it, the lyrics, the chords, the bass, your voice, all of it just comes together. It's a beautiful, it's a perfect package in my mind. It's ear candy. So it's amazing.
oh, that's
It hits
nice.
different. As the kids say today, it hits different. It hits different. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, moving on to side 2 of the album, the acoustic side. Next, we have A Million Miles, I Love You. What's the story behind that one?
Well, he and Sheila, he being Prince, Sheila, Prince, and Lisa had this groove going. Sheila was playing drums. Prince played bass on that. And in fact, he played drums to an extent on some of it, I think. And Lisa was doing keyboard stuff on it.
Wow.
And he wanted me to come up with some lyrics for, this for the song. So Roy had taken a couple of jobs with other bands. I think the Scorpions was one of them. And everybody kind of had this the Brenda and Roy relationship, the marriage that we had. It was it's almost like they had us on a pedestal.
Oh.
A lot of times, like here's the greatest, rock and roll marriage, and and they work together, and there's this, and we're all a family, and and I really missed him. He had had to go off somewhere on a different musical thing, and I was really missing him. And so some of the lyrics came out of that feeling. And thinking about him, like there's that one line there. I'd even sell my diamond ring, and stuff like that. And that's pretty much how the story behind the lyrics came.
And you double tracked your vocals, right? The low octave and the high.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that song. It's so beautiful.
Crazy.
On the Apollonia 6 album, I read that this was the first time that Prince put a skit on an album. We have the famous skit before Ushishiwawa. Susan, what is it? Susan put on some clothes, Apples takes them off, or the other way around. We're going out to play. And it's a man from Neptune.
Oh,
Brenda, do tell.
Please explain. Please explain.
there's so many people that actually like that, and
Oh, we love it. Are you
it
kidding?
was, for me, it was a filler. It was just kind of like filling space.
Mhm.
Get serious, will you?
Yeah.
And I think Apollonia says something about a rabbit Smokey.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And she did have that rabbit, yeah.
she did have a rabbit named Smokey.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, there was a photo session that we had done in California.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful in very modern architecture.
It looked
And
like Paisley Park, kinda.
yeah,
It
you're
reminds you of the,
yep.
the Paisley Park, but it wasn't. Yeah.
In fact, it was when Blue Limousine was going to be coming out. Prince had asked me to do up a storyboard of ideas for a video
Mm-hmm.
for that song because it was going to be released. That was when it was being toyed around with that being a second release or second release single off the album. So I did a lot of pictures, storyboard, and I showed them to him, and it was all going to take place pretty much in a very modern, futuristic looking building, very sparse, not
Mm-hmm.
very much of anything, just angular things that you could sit, sections of stuff where you could sit. And he loved it, but he said, no, we can't do that now. But he kept the storyboard, he
Hmm.
kept the pictures. And then when I came back, when I moved back from London, and I went to see and spend time with Susan, and we went over to Paisley Park. Paisley Park had been finished, the basic structure, most all of it was up, but it was just all the inside wasn't completed yet, except for studio. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first thing that got done. And he was in the studio working, and he says, yeah, come in, come over. So we went in, and when we got to that area, when we got to that building, I was just like, wait a minute, this looks like my storyboard from
Yeah.
yeah, it was really kind of like, wow. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing with so we did the photo session with um Apollonia brought her rabbit and put it on and
On the leash, yeah.
we
That's
did some
crazy.
we did some photos of it. So but I that whole piece, that is before, which song is it on
Ushishi Wawa.
before the Ushishi?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always
Ooh,
loved.
Mom,
I loved Jill Jones' background vocals on that one. Did Jill sing on the Vanity Six album at all, or just in the concerts?
She did a little bit on the
Okay.
album. Yeah.
And I know she sang on this one. What do you think of Ushishi Wa? Totally a Susan song.
Yeah.
They always had her like kind of
Yeah.
talking through her songs.
Love it,
Um,
love it, love it.
I liked how she did it. It
Me
wasn't forced. It wasn't. It was just she very smoothly went. Did her bit.
Yeah.
It was there was a difference between when she'd first started doing those. They were a little bit more forced because she wasn't quite sure what she was doing with it yet.
Right.
And then as time had gone on and we had gotten warmed up into things and she had learned more, you could tell the difference between,
She was more comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah. I always saw it as Drive Me Wild. I always saw Ooh Chihuahua as like a Drive Me Wild part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of
right.
follows along suit. I love my favorite of hers is Makeup.
Oh yeah.
I performed it. I performed it in drag back in the
Oh, did
90s.
you?
Yeah,
Yes.
I did. I did Nasty Girl with two biological female friends of mine. And we did it twice. We did Nasty Girl one time and second time at another venue. In the second venue, one of my girl playing Susan got sick. So it was just me. I mean, my girl playing you got sick. And
Uh-oh.
then it was me and my Susan, the black and white lingerie. And I might still have a video clip when it was just the two of us. But then makeup I did by myself. So
Oh,
at another event, yeah. In drag.
I want to see that. That's so cool. I didn't know you did drag, so that's
I
I'm
did it
learning
for
things.
15 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did?
For 15 years. Yeah.
What was your drag name? Can I ask real quick?
Ecstasy Lords with an X. No E in front of the X. It's
Oh,
X.
okay.
XTASY. Ecstasy
Maybe
Lords.
that's how I've been doing this for 30 years. Maybe that's how I know you. Or I
Maybe.
don't know.
Yeah.
I
At
just feel
first,
like
it
I
was just
know it.
ecstasy. It was just ecstasy, and then they
Okay.
became Ecstasy Lords later because they joined the House of Lords. So,
That's so
but
Well,
cool.
we have two
it's such a
songs
long time
left.
ago.
We have two
Okay.
songs left, so I don't want to keep Brenda up too late. Some Kind of Lover. Now, I know you say on the album you're embarrassed after that ending you had to do there. Anything you'd like to share with us, Brenda?
Um, he loved he loved my vocal performance on that. We had a lot of fun with that. That was done Million Miles and Some Kind of Lover. That was they were both done in Sunset along with Blue Limousine. Um,
Oh, excuse me.
Some Kind of Lover was something that I hadn't finished lyric wise yet. And so I wound up playing around with that when we were in the studio with it. And he wanted me to do all this ad lib stuff, and I'm not a good ad lib per person because I think too much.
Okay.
Hmm.
And it's like for me to think right on the spot, sometimes I can do it, sometimes it's difficult. So that whole thing at the very end of the song, I knew he wanted me to do this sort of sexy thing. So that's what I did.
I would be so uncomfortable when that came on.
And
I would have it in my boombox, and my mom would probably be nearby, and I just remember feeling so cool. I love it. I love it now, though.
And it was just he and I at the time in the studio doing it. And I was when I did the whole, orgasmic thing there.
Yeah.
I was kind of standing going like this, and I said, I'm embarrassed.
No.
And and I was. And he kept it. He just looked
Oh,
up
wow.
at me through the window, and he just smiled and said, and I said, you didn't keep that, did you? And he said, yeah, I did.
Oh,
It sounds perfect.
yeah.
It sounds real, like it's,
Like it wasn't or it wasn't planned, you mean?
yeah, yeah.
And it was, and I just I thought he went in the final mix of everything. I didn't think that was going to be in there. So when I heard the final version of everything,
You a pilot.
well, actually, no, I was glad that it was there because I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
So for me to say it was like a conviction to anybody listening that like, okay, I did this, but yeah, I'm embarrassed about it.
My favorite line in
okay.
that song is, "Boy, you've got me hooked and I'm willingly tied." I love the way you sing that little line there. It's just beautiful.
So satisfied. I love my Brenda
So
impersonation.
satisfied.
Yeah, sing it.
Some kind of lover and you're mine, all mine, you're some.
Oh, I just got chills.
That was so good.
Oh my God.
I was hoping.
There's a bass break in there that Prince was just when I did the with his bass line and stuff that he was doing at that time. He did one of his jumped up away from the desk and was just standing there grooving to it, and he was really happy. And it's moments like that when I worked with him that made it all like so exciting. And
Yeah.
so memorable.
Your three contributions to this album, the Blue Limousine, Million Miles, and Some Kind of Lover, are just, to me, I listened to those songs more than any Prince song. Like they were just such iconic songs to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have also there was a reason for that. He was going to be doing the solo project with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the next incarnation of Girls Group was going to be mine.
Okay.
It was gonna yeah.
Oh wow.
So
I didn't know that part. Yeah.
He was starting to set that up a little bit. So that's why there was more. He had me doing more work on that album.
So would that have been a Brenda Bennett 6 or what?
No, I think it was going to be something like Pandora 6.
Oh
wow. That's something I
Oh,
never knew. Yeah,
Mm.
that's exciting.
Pandora
It's
6.
it.
Yeah. And
Uh,
but then things, all this stuff happened with the movie, and then getting into doing the other movies and the family and Apollonia 6.
Mm,
Um, he had pretty much said, okay, this is you guys got to decide what's going to happen with this. And Apollonia wanted to stay in filming. She wanted to really work on her filming career. Susan wanted to go back to school and finish her degree, and I wanted to stay in music. So we were going to do my solo album, but it kept getting pushed.
Mm.
Kept putting, like, okay, well, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So
mhm.
I didn't put any eggs in any basket that it was going to. I didn't sit around waiting for it to happen because when it was going to happen, it would happen. It was
Right.
pretty.
Wasn't there an album cover painting that was already set for the album cover release
For a solo.
for your solo project?
Yeah, my friend
Yeah, the
Cynthia,
headband on and
yeah,
yeah,
my friend Cynthia Blair did the work on that.
it's beautiful.
That
Do you have
was-
a copy of that?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the painting?
Oh, I do. It's on my
Oh,
wall over there.
Oh, wow.
really? Wow, that's neat.
Yeah. I remember seeing something or hearing something. Didn't you post it? Brenda, did you ever post it or did someone post it?
I think there was a couple of versions of the color, and then she had done some black and whites of it as well. Yeah, I think I did post one of the color versions.
Yeah, I remember
you
seeing
posted
something
the
with the
cover, yeah.
color.
Yeah,
I had seen it years
Okay.
ago.
yeah.
Like I had seen it on Google years ago.
Mhm.
But you did post it on your Facebook too.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
do we have
beautiful.
anything to add about In a Spanish Villa?
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought I would have liked to have heard more of it, but because it's not very long.
What I'm gathering, it seemed like the Vanity 6 album was kind of a cohesive album that was put together as a project from
Yeah.
beginning to end. It seemed like Apollonia 6 was a little bit more of kind of drawing different pieces together and then sequencing them. Is that kind of true, Brenda? Would you say?
Yeah, that's a good synopsis of the album. It was because it was a testing ground. We really didn't know what was going to happen with it. We didn't know where we were going to go with it. Where we were going to go, if it was going to be a bona fide group in the long term, that was going to continue on. I kind of didn't think right from the beginning that it was going to be. It was more of something that was part of the whole package, the whole Purple Rain package
Right.
and family at the time. So it kind of served its purpose in that respect.
Yeah.
But fortunately, funny enough, there are some things I'm not free to discuss details, but there are some things that are coming down the path with Apollonia 6 that's coming up. That's going to be very exciting, and yeah, so there is some activity that's going to be
Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. And whatever, if it's something
Ooh.
somewhere, we're all going to be there. Well, we have kept Brenda longer than we were supposed to. Do you have any other final thoughts on the Apollonia 6 era? I do hope you will come back when I start season 3 in September to talk about your wonderful solo albums that you did. I mean, I just love your songwriting. These two albums are my heart when I was younger, but your work that you've done in the last decade are my heart as an adult. So yeah, love those songs. It's interesting because I heard something in your voice that, confirmed with your songwriting as an adult. You know what I mean? Like there's always something there and then it was there. So we love you, Brenda. I just got to say it.
We do.
We do.
We love you.
We thank you.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I can't wait to hang out with you.
Do you, Jeff or Danielle, do either of you have any final questions or anything you wanted to say?
I do. I had semi-asked it earlier, but we segued into something else, which was Glamorous Life. Did you guys ever get to record a version of that? And if so, where was it gonna go? Was it Vanity's first album, second album, or Apollonia's album?
It was a song.
Or your solo project?
Right, no, it was a song that had come up, and there was talk about us doing it, but No, I don't. It's there was so much stuff that I did with Prince at between 1 and 5 o'clock in the morning that there's no telling where it was going to wind up, where it was going to land, what was going to, what it was going to
Ugh.
evolve out of that, as far as like glamorous life being on the Vanity 6 Second album, I don't think so.
Okay.
Mm.
So it was never recorded by you guys.
No.
Okay, just a suggestion. It was okay. Got it.
And
So
wasn't there even a pressing of Apollonia 6 with Manic Monday on it? Because I feel like I remember seeing a cover art version with that on the track list. Am I imagining things?
No, I saw that too.
Okay. Are you talking about Manic Monday?
Yeah, Manic Monday. Didn't that
Yeah.
wasn't there actually a pressing of the album with that on it before it got pulled?
That I'm not sure. You might have known more about that than I did as far as the
Okay.
actual pressing. We did record a version of it. I have a copy of the recorded version of Manic Monday.
Ugh. Not the demo, like the final mix.
Yeah.
Really?
Of Apollonia 6 doing it. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a rough demo. I have a rough
Yeah.
demo. of it.
We have the rough demo over here.
Yeah, we got the rough one, honey. It's rough.
Danielle, do you have any final?
It's rough. Except
there was-
for the
Danielle, any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I'm good. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
I did.
Brenda,
Thank you. You're iconic.
Yeah.
We love you.
And we love, I do want to say that we love Apollonia 6. We love Apollonia. We love
And Susan.
Lindsay, and we love Brenda Bennett. And
Yeah.
we're so happy this was recorded. And I play it at least once a week. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God.
I listen to it constantly.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
I was
on my
sending
way
Brenda
to.
videos. I was sending her Snapchat of me lip syncing some kind of love.
I'm on my way to the gym in a few, and I'm actually gonna be playing Blue Limousine in my ears. So,
Yes.
I actually, you know what, Brenda? I'm sorry, I don't want to keep you. I do have a question. You mentioned that you were gonna probably have your own spin-off group called Pandora or Pandora 6, right? Who were gonna be the girls with you? That wasn't picked yet, or were the girls that you already knew?
It hadn't got that far yet.
Okay, all right, cool,
Yeah.
cool, all right.
Oh,
And I'm looking at the picture of Prince in back of you, Jeff.
This is shattered glass art that my friend made.
That is,
Oh wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
that is
Can I-
So let me see if
share?
let me see if it flips it. Yeah, this is shattered glass art. I don't want to touch it because even though it's glazed, you can still cut yourself. My friend did this for me,
That's
and
so beautiful.
there might be plans for a Vanity or Apollonia 6 version. It's gonna be. This is pretty big. It doesn't look that big. It's really big. It's in my dining room, but the Apollonia Vanity one will be double the size
I would love to
with
see
the three of you.
I would love to see
And
Vanity done like
I'm
that.
sorry.
I would like to see one of those done at Vanity.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So let me where did I go? I can't flip myself here. All right. Can you see me?
No.
I see.
All right. Yeah. Like seeing the floor.
So
Yeah,
that's-
my place has a little Paisley Park vibe. Everything's white with white, everything glossy white, and that's my style too. So it's funny when you said that. I remember hearing you talk about that. And the minimalist, modern, contemporary, futuristic look, that's my vibe. And I love it. I wish I could see that sketch.
That picture that you have in back of you of Prince, that shattered glass thing, he would have loved that.
Wow.
That's just
Yeah, thank you. I had him do that to paint the eye purple. I was
That was
like,
the
he said,
cover
"You
of
want-"
Spin Magazine, yeah.
yeah.
Now, speaking of
and he was like,
artwork, I think a nice way to end is for Danielle to show a little bit of artwork.
Am
if
I
we may.
allowed? Well, let me ask Brenda, can I show your painting?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, I didn't know, but so Brenda painted this and sent it to me, and it is like one of my. It's the it's a tiger. It's the eye of the tiger, and I look at it every day, and it reminds me to keep pushing on in a world that is very judgmental and very hard at times. And so when she sent this to me recently, it made my whole year. Like, so I just want to thank you. And she's so talented.
Yeah.
Look at, she painted that. It's gorgeous. She's amazing.
It
Let me
is.
just sign
Not
off
only
by
is she a
saying,
singer, but she's an artist.
Yeah.
So.
Brenda, you have, your voice, your lyrics, the songs you did changed the world. Like people that you didn't know, and there's so many out there. You provided a safe space for us and a space for us to be who we were and to be strong and to fight off people. So thank you for your contribution to this world. It's so important. You are
She's
so
a tough girl.
Yeah.
Tough girl.
And sometimes I wonder if you know how much of an impact you made on hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't.
I know you don't.
I mean,
know.
when people say what you just said,
Mhm.
it's a reminder that I guess so, but I don't. I live a very modest, quiet life. And,
Me too.
I just go on about my life on a daily basis of just, washing the dishes and getting the laundry done and cooking something to eat and, working on a new painting or
Yeah.
working on some kind of a music thing or something. I've got 3 songs in the works.
Oh,
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah. And but it's just it's when something like this comes about and somebody says something like that. It's or if I'm all of a sudden, for instance, when I did when my second solo album came out, once again I did a CD release show. And
Yeah.
the next night the Revolution were playing in the area, and they were disappointed that they weren't close enough to come to the show the night before, to come to my show. But they invited me to come to their show, and they said, why don't you sit in with us, and do something in the encore? And I said, oh, great, I'd love to. Okay. So when I got there, when I got to the theater where they were doing the show, Bobby's wife came out and came and got me, kind of thing, and brought me backstage, and I was singing, got to say hello to everybody and all this business. And there was a couple of times, a couple of points where people that were working on the tour had come into the dressing room for one reason or another, and this one guy just sort of come into the room and then
Yeah.
and was just standing there and just like looking at me. And so Matt Fink introduced me to the person, and he said, Brenda, this is our so-and-so who does such and such. And before he could say anything else, the guy looked at me and says, oh, I know who she is.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm very happy to meet you. And it's things like that all of a sudden it wakes me up to the fact that, oh my gosh, like
The impact that you made on
the
people.
impact is hard for me to I know that I have, and however I may have affected or helped somebody's life to turn around to a positive way, to help them out, and bring happiness into their life in any way, then I must be doing something right. And I've been blessed, God's blessed.
Absolutely. I mean, think
Yeah,
about it.
I wasn't gonna cry.
I know.
Oh,
I
me
mean, we
too.
think about it. We think about it. Not all of us, but many of the fans of your work right now, most of us are in the 40s and 50s age group, and we're still talking about you. We're still listening to you. We're still impacted by the movement and everything you guys did, and it's lasted. It's withstood the test of time, and we're still, and here we are. So
and it is part of
it's
our lives
important.
when we're doing
So-
our dishes or we're doing our laundry. Like that's the songs that's in our ears. You know what I mean? That it's part of the fabric of your life. It's part of
Yeah.
your life. So, well, Brenda, thank you for talking about Vanity 6 and Apollonia 6 track by track. I'm so thankful for your friendship. And if you want to travel somewhere, I'll drive you everywhere.
Okay. All right.
I'll fly you in.
Yep.
We'll fly you in. Let's do it.
I'll be
will-
there. Just let me know because I'm coming.
We will all meet again someday for sure.
You're gonna pick me up in your blue limousine. What did you say? How did you say it earlier? Your blue limousine.
Oh, yep.
to drive me a million miles.
Yeah.
To see some kind of lover.
Yep. That's what I text Brenda.
That's hysterical.
Oh my
I love
God.
it. I love it.
We might bite the beat too, so.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, much love to everybody. I'm gonna get this online tonight, and I'm gonna
Okay.
go listen to Apollonia 6 right now. I love y'all.
Bye.
All right,
thank
love you guys. Love you, Brenda.
Bye.
Thank you for
Nice
being
to
with
meet
us.
you, Jeff.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Add me on Facebook.